As we saw in the last movie, with the enumeration column type, we're able to select one value from a very specific list and insert that data into the column. With a set column, we are able to, in a very similar way, define the kind of list of values that will be acceptable for the column, but instead of simply choosing one from the list, we are able to choose as many as we want. In effect, we can store multiple values from a list that we specify within a set column. Let's take a look. If we use our sample database, and then let's take a look at the products table. At the moment there's three fields, three columns: product ID, price and name. Now if we added a description column to that product table, then we could add a set of words that we could build some kind of a description out of, that we could add to each of the products. So let's run an alter table query on the products table, and we're going to add the description column, and we're going to make it of type set. Now the set type, as we just found out, allows us to specify a set of values, all, any, or none of which can be entered into a single row. So let's say we allow our administrator of our database to add the data from this admittedly very limited set of adjectives, by which we can build a picture of what kind of a product each of our products is. Now I should point out here that this is a very bad way to add a description. To try and put the fact that one kind of product comes from a fairy tale, another comes from Star Wars, and the fact that it's a hat, these are all unrelated kinds of data. Really we should have some column that specifies whether it's headgear or whether it's any other kind of costume item. We should have a column that specifies the genre of costume it is, and I don't know where the adjective scary would go, but they certainly shouldn't all go together. The only reason we're doing this is to exemplify the use of the set column type. So let's go ahead anyway and alter our table and take a look at the data that's already contained within our products table. As we can see, we've added a new column there, the description column, which is at the moment completely empty. Let's change some of the values here. We're going to update the products table, and we're going to say set description equals, and I should point out again that the keyword set in this particular piece of SQL has nothing to do with the set column type. All it's saying is that we're setting the value of the description column. We're not referring to the fact that the description column is of the set column type. The set column type refers to a set of things, like I could have a set of objects, whereas the set as it's being used in this particular piece of SQL is utterly unrelated and refers to setting of a value. So let's change the value of our description, the row in our description column, to hat, which is one of the values that we specified, one of the hat, fairy tale, Star Wars or scary values. Now we better specify a where clause for this particular update query, otherwise it's going to change every row in the whole table. So let's specify that we're only talking about product ID number 1, which is the pelican mask. So very loosely, that's a hat. Let's take a look at what that's done. As we would expect, the value hat has been added to the description column, the only difference between this and the normal syntax for an everyday update query where we'd be updating, say, a character field, is the fact that we put brackets around the value that we added. Let's take a look at something that shows off the way that the set column type works. We're going to set our description column to both hat and fairy tale. So hat, fairy tale. Notice that we don't need to break out of the quote marks. We just need to put a comma between those two values. Where product ID equals 3, so that's the princess's tiara. That is a hat-like or headgear of some kind, and it's kind of a fairy tale sort of toy. Now let's run another select query to take a look at the data that we've just changed. As we can see, we can specify two values into the description column, and they'll both be successfully added. Of course, if we try to add anything to our description column that we haven't specified when we created the column, let's just put in a nonsense word, camel in this case, where product ID is 11, that's the lightsaber. As we can see, it says rows matched but changed 0. So although we didn't get any error in our query, as we can see, nothing has actually changed within the database.